Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session here on a Thursday morning. You are in Grad Chat, and today we're talking about the support services available at the university to help with mental stress or increase your mental health. So first, I'd like to acknowledge the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation that we meet on here virtually. We pay our respects to the elders past, present, and recognise the strengths and resilience and capacity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait people in this land. So I'm really lucky to be joined together today with Dr. Sarah Ann Tay, and she's a counsellor. She's also the Psychological Services Coordinator and Clinical Psychologist at the University's Counselling and Psychological Services CAPS. So today we're going to talk about mindfulness and the services that the university can help to provide and support to our grad students here. Welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that introduction. So yeah, I'm from Counselling and Psychological Services, and you'll often hear the acronym CAPS around the uni to refer to us. So, you know, the main thing to know about CAPS is that we are just one of the health and wellbeing areas of the university, and we provide free sort of confidential short-term counselling along with other psychological services like workshops and training and online resources. And, you know, I'm hoping to use the time today to speak to everyone about some of the support available to you in our area today. So, you know, I think before we know that an important part of managing stress is addressing the problem that is causing it, if there is something that we can exert our control over. You know, so if it is about money, you know, I'm really thankful to Vanessa, who's outlined some really excellent practical strategies and the support options in that practical way to address that. But of course, you know, there's also other impacts that people might be facing at the moment emotionally. You know, there is a lot of air of anxiety and stress and tension around us with, you know, when you go to the grocery store, sort of seeing people, you know, physically distancing or, you know, with physical distancing, the impact on our social relationships. You know, although that's thankfully been eased a little bit now recently over the weekend. But there's also been a lot of changes, you know, in the way that we study or work. And that's been quite a shift to adjust to. So that can be stressful as well. So, you know, absolutely, even while we are all taking active steps to solve the problem, there can still be difficult feelings of stress, anxiety, you know, upset, frustration, you know, difficult thoughts, lots of worries, you know, or negative beliefs that you might be having about yourself or the world at the moment. And from a psychological perspective, there are definitely lots of strategies that we can learn to manage these more effectively, you know, and you know, live our lives effectively even during this time. So I might get Andrew to move us to the next slide. So as I mentioned before, CAPS offers free confidential short-term counselling to all currently enrolled students and staff. And during this particular time of COVID, all of our appointments at the moment are telecounselling via Zoom. And it's important to know that you can, if you're new to CAPS, you can book a first-time appointment on the day or the next day. And generally, we recommend that the best way is to book an appointment online on our website. That's definitely, you know, the most convenient way that you can access an appointment at the moment. Just moving on to the next slide, Andrew, thank you. And as I mentioned before, we don't just offer individual counselling. That you know, we have a webinar series at the moment that counsellors have developed on various topics. I think that we're seeing common issues or challenges that people are facing at the moment, to really think about developing and boosting your resilience and well-being during this pandemic. And you can see that there are things like, you know, how to manage isolation and loneliness. That's one that's happening today. So you can pop on to our website to register for that. So, you know, things around relationships, things around kind of managing your difficult thoughts and feelings, but also how to stay, you know, acting effectively during this difficult time are some of the topics that we have in this webinar series. And you're welcome to attend all of the sessions in the series to learn different skills, but you can just attend one or two depending on what you know is of interest or relevant or particularly helpful to you, and you can register for each of them individually using the registration link on our website. Just on to the next slide. So we also have specific mindfulness programs at the moment, and there can be a lot of myths and misconceptions about mindfulness nowadays as it's become a bit of a pop word. But in essence, you know, mindfulness is about learning how to pay attention to what's happening in the present with that particular attitude of openness, curiosity, and acceptance. So, you know, if a lot of anxious thoughts or worries or feelings are coming up for you, mindfulness can offer one way to notice and acknowledge them without kind of getting too caught up with it, and letting them pass. And that can help us improve our focus, better manage stress and anxiety so that we can still engage fully in our lives as it is in the moment, and make better choices to take effective action. So I really recommend if you join us every Wednesday and Friday, we have what's called Midday Mindful Moments every Wednesday and Friday till the 5th of June. And that's just for half an hour where a counselor will guide you through a guided meditation exercise. And this offers a bit of an introduction or a taster of what mindfulness is and how you can practice it. And even for regulars, you know, this can offer you a regular space to practice. Now, I just want to highlight this next program that we have because it is particular for graduate researchers, and it's a 6-week group webinar program for if you're interested in kind of really going in depth into a mindfulness practice to learn how to better manage stress. And that's happening on Thursdays at 2:30 to 3:30 for a period of 6 weeks. You know, if you want to come along for this, I really invite you to register your expression of interest on our website. We're getting quite a lot of interest in this group, and I believe the first round of registrations is full for the first group, but we're still inviting people to express their interest, because if there's a lot of interest, we will set up more groups to run. Yeah, please consider that. And you know, that's certainly a really excellent structured program if you're wanting to go in depth into mindfulness.
Yes, sorry, Sarah, I might just jump in there. I mean, it's fantastic to see that the university and CAPS are concentrating on mindfulness. I think it's mindfulness, I mean, from a graduate student perspective, and we've been doing this for a little while, mindfulness has always been part of our programming in terms of, we know it's important, we know the key times when we promote it more, but I think with COVID-19 here, I think mindfulness has become more accepted as part of a common practice for students and even staff. And I think it's good to see that these programs are coming through, but they're becoming more mainstream. Would you not agree? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's great. Absolutely, that they're becoming more accessible, you know, to people. At the same time, you know, I think sometimes I feel like there can, because it's become such a pop thing as well. It's important that, you know, to if you're going along for a mindfulness course, just to check out the, you know, the credentials or the qualifications of the facilitator running it. You know, and at CAPS, I guess, you know, that's the thing, that all of us are, you know, clinical, are counseling psychologists. The counselors who run this program are mindfulness accredited teachers. So you can know that you'll be receiving accurate information about mindfulness, because sometimes I think there can be quite tall promises about what mindfulness can offer, that it will kind of take away your stress, when actually it is more about being able to observe and acknowledge our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them, and really about creating that attitude of openness, curiosity and acceptance, as I was talking about before, which then helps us manage stress more effectively. I guess that's what I wanted to say about that. That's great that it's accessible. At the same time, just kind of check that you're given accurate information about what it is, and that the teacher is accredited to kind of facilitate this.
Yeah, great point, Sarah. Yeah. I think even yesterday's session we were talking to our grad students who are parents, and there was a lot of questions coming through about mindfulness for children. And we've given some great resources through the recording and online from yesterday. But I think what I'm trying to say is that I wish I had, I guess, this mindfulness was ready available when I was doing my studies, or even as a young adult. Because as anything, as you probably that there's a lot more pressures on us. And there's people who do overthink things, and I'm probably one of those people. I think we
all are, I think.
But I mean, these types of programs, at least mindfulness helps you settle, I think, and then still be able to access services of CAPS to sort of talk through those thoughts. So yeah, thank you. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and if there are people are looking for good apps, mindfulness apps, there's a link on our website that I can kind of make sure that Tavita or Andrew have that can be distributed, because on our website we list kind of recommended apps and self-help programs, so that's something that I can shoot through.
Yeah, fantastic.
Later on. Yeah. On to the next slide. So I just wanted to highlight some of our international student specific programs as well at the moment, because during these unusual times there can be added complexities for international students, as before, for example with fees, that might be a particular sort of stress for international students. And our international student council is collaborating with AMSU International at the moment to offer some of these topics. So again, I invite people to join in with these webinars, to connect with other international students, get support from both counselors and peers, and hopefully these topics will also be helpful and of interest to people. On to the next slide. And this is something, we're really interested in developing more programs and helpful offerings for graduate students in the online space. And in the past, we've offered these monthly Break Free from Anxiety workshops that were very popular, and we're keen to translate these into webinar format sometime in July. And you'll see a little bit of an outline on this slide, and students often, give us great feedback about this particular program in terms of understanding the theory and the science behind anxiety, as well as experiencing and practicing, a range of psychological techniques like relaxation, thought exercises, mindfulness, self-compassion, planning action that's guided by what's important to you, to really kind of walk out of the workshop to build an anxiety management toolbox for yourself. And also it being an opportunity to have meaningful discussions with other graduate students. So I just wanted to say that, this is something that we're planning for in July, but I did, want to use this opportunity also to pose, some questions. And I'm mindful that, maybe Tavita or Rashna or Andrew, if you have a way to kind of just survey the graduate students around, is this good timing? And we're also curious to find out that whether as a graduate student, are there specific issues that would be most important or relevant or helpful to address in this program, just so that, because we are still in that development phase, being able to incorporate the important things there. So I just wondered, Tavita, do you have any comment about that, or what might be the best way to to sort of get people's thoughts on this program that we're planning for in July at the moment.
Yeah, I think these are great questions, and we use types of these questions when we're designing our own programs. But yeah, I'm happy to reach out to our student group, or we have a Facebook group called Connection Isolation at GSA, and it's quite a dedicated group where we have students talking about, you know, the ups and downs of being isolated and their COVID-19 strategies, coping strategies. So, and it's quite a good discussion here, and it's building very. So at the moment, I think there's around the 300 mark of students in that group that are just talking and posting and discussing. So there's definitely some opportunities there that we can reach out, because for us at GSA, these types of programs are critical. I mean, not just, not COVID alone, but, you know, in general. And I think in the lead up to assessments and exams, I think it sort of compounds more. So yeah, happy to facilitate some of these. And look, any of the listeners on the call, if you have any thoughts on, you know, quick one-line answers on these particular questions, please put it through the Q&A or the chat section. But yeah, these are great questions. Happy to facilitate that even post this session.
Yeah. Okay, so I might just leave it there, but, you know, to please, you know, definitely check out on our website. And I'll make sure that we leave the link. Actually, I think Andrew has been popping the link to our website. And if you can see that there's a student workshops tab, you know, on the main kind of blue menu bar at the top of the screen, that's where you'll be able to find what workshops and webinars, you know, are running at the moment, all that information about the webinar series and the different programs that we have at the moment, and that you can register online. You know, the Zoom registration link is all clearly marked there, and it will be updated once we finalize the dates for the Breakthrough from Anxiety program for graduate students in July. So I think formally that's you know, it from me, but I'm happy to, you know, stick around to if people had any questions, or you know, happy to try to answer them.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. I mean, I'm going to open up to the listeners out there. If there's any questions, please put them through on the Q&A or the chat while we have Sarah in the room. It's a privilege, because these guys are usually behind the scenes and supporting our students and staff, and so to get a, you know, front row access to Sarah is very incredible at this stage. So, you know, actually, I have a question for you, Sarah. So, you mentioned, you know, you mentioned that CAPS is available for all students and staff.
Yes.
I mean, where do you draw the line in terms of support? Because just say, I mean, we had a session with Vanessa on financial stress. I mean, would I just sign up through the website, have an appointment, and then be able to see what others opportunities available, or where should I go as a grad student if I'm just stressed out, but I have reasons behind the stress? So some might be, you know, enrollment, some might be housing, some might be you know, financially. What should they do?
Look, I think our website is a really great kind of first port of call, because you know, not only are there, you know, the information about the appointments on there, but you'll also be able to see different kinds of resources, you know, like those online resources, like recommended apps, self-help programs, tip sheets that, you know, our counselors have written. And a particularly kind of really popular one, and one that's been receiving quite a lot of use at the moment, is our COVID-19 Managing Stress and Anxiety tip sheet at the moment. But certainly, you know, if you're unsure about what kind of support you need, you know, please don't hesitate, you know, just to book in an appointment, you know, with a counselor, because then, you know, we can help kind of also people to direct to what kind of support would be most helpful. And if that's practical support, you know, kind of orienting students to what those might be, which it might include financial counseling or other services at AMSU, you know, to stop one if there are, you know, course or enrollment issues, you know, to, if it's more emotional and psychological support, then you've come to the right place as well. But that's kind of what we work out in an initial consultation. You know, we sort of try to help the person have a space to verbalize what's been happening for them, what's been impacting them, and then work out a bit of a plan at the end of that first appointment around what recommendations of support might be most helpful for that person. So don't feel like you need to have it all figured out before you come for an initial consultation. It is part of that first appointment to help you navigate that together, with a counselor. But of course, Stop One itself is a great, I think first gateway in that they can also help, you to orient to the vast, range of student services and support that there is available. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I guess linked to that question for me was, I did like, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you're a new user, a new person to the service, you get priority of seeing quicker. Is that correct?
So it's if you have not been to the service before, the current structure that we have is that we wanted to make first time appointments as accessible to people, and that means that new first time appointments get refreshed every day, and that's when I said that you can book appointment on the day or the next day, and look, this is also just to acknowledge that during busy times you may not get an appointment straight away, but you can, knowing that you can try again the next day. So we often do, advise people to book online, and that the appointments kind of refresh every morning. So if you're logging on to our website early in the morning, chances are that you'll get an appointment. So that's kind of how we've set up first time appointments at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's really good to know, because especially during this environment, everybody's services is under the pump. And I think, especially if you're looking for clinical help or health services, or even legal services, I think you're a bit hesitant sometimes, like, oh, I'll never get an appointment. It's really busy, and I think we all are understanding that. But to know that if you're a first time user, there's some priority in that through CAPS.
Yeah, so and absolutely, if you find I'm not actually seeing that as a problem at the moment. But if you're finding that you repeatedly are not able to get an appointment, we always encourage people to then call us, directly, call our reception. And we do have what's called a triage option at the moment, where if you're new to us, you can't get an appointment, that a counsellor can offer a brief kind of 15-minute phone call on the day, just to kind of give you a quick check-in, and then make some recommendations over the phone. So that's also an option. So if you're finding that you can't get if for some reason you've been having trouble getting an appointment, please just call us, and we will see what we can do.
Fantastic. Look, I'd like to take this opportunity to once again thank you, Sarah, for being on the call, and our previous guest, Vanessa, thank you, and Rashna, our CEO, and thanks you also for being here. And at GSA, obviously, we are making a point to reach out to our partners that can provide support for grad students, and that's been a theme of all our webinars. So our webinars are Mondays to Thursdays at 10 a.m. and we usually change the topics as we go along, but we have a lot of focus on academic excellence, transition to work, supporting our grad students who are parents, and also supporting our wider community. So we have graduate groups, or our clubs and societies, 148 of them at this stage, which account for 20,000 postgraduate students at the University of Melbourne. So for us, tapping into them, checking in on them, making sure they showcase what they're doing for their members, so that we can help or support them during this time. So GSA is committed to staying online, staying active during this time, and also making sure that we make it a permanent fixture. I think I mentioned this before, that we will be maintaining an online presence, carrying forward no matter what, because we know that there are a lot of people who can't reach our services physically, and we're thinking of them. So on behalf of GSA, I'd like to thank all our guests for their time, and our students out there, thank you for dialing in, listening, your questions, and we'll see you soon. Thanks very much.